Yesterday game was horrendous, bro. I mean, it was bad. I mean, this one might be one for the ages, bro. I can't even lie. The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. I mean, they got their issue off in a major way, bro. I mean, there was countless of times I could literally look at the screen and know that was a foul.
What if I told you the real MVP of the WNBA isn't even on the roster, but rocking a whistle with more drama than a soap opera? Buckle up, because we've found footage so outrageous it makes reality shows look tame. Caitlin Clark wasn't just fouled, she was flat out robbed. And the evidence? It's messier than a toddler tearing through spaghetti. You won't believe what this referee pulled, and yes, it's all caught on camera. Let's get into it.
So lads, today the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined, and it was pretty grim. Like, it was a pretty grim overall, it was a pretty grim overall.
Watching the WNBA and seeing how things are run, seeing how things are done, and after you've seen what it looks like to get it right, and you come in and see something looking really wrong, you're going to call it out. It is what it is. You're going to be critical of players. If they do something shady or classless, you're going to call that out.
And the whistle blows again, but not for a foul, not for a travel, just for the apparent crime of being Caitlin Clark. Because let's be real, at this point, we're not watching basketball, we're watching a poorly written soap opera where the refs are playing the role of over-the-top villains. Between the missed calls, the phantom fouls, and the oops didn't catch that punch to the face moments, WNBA officials have gone from calling the game to starring in their own circus, whistles and all.
Share with you guys an article that I found that honestly gives us so much insight into the WNBA referees, how they are hired, how much they make, and there's one section that really stood out to me, and they break down essentially why they are making the calls that they make, and they also talk about the influx of new fans flooding to the WNBA. They talk about Caitlin Clark a little bit. This article to me was really telling. It actually came out in January, but it was published by SB Nation, and it's entitled "How WNBA Referees Are Scouted, Trained, and Held Accountable."
The audience isn't confused anymore. They're just worn out. This isn't suspense, it's slow-motion sabotage. These crooked referees aren't just messing up games, they're sucking the life out of a league that's supposed to be gaining momentum. Fans show up expecting real competition, not some ref-led improv disaster. It's like tuning into a baking show only to watch the judges pull the plug on the oven mid-bake and then blame the contestant. And Caitlin Clark? She's that contestant, smiling through the chaos while her three-tier cake collapses into a puddle on the floor.
You would think, with what they say coming into the season, Kathy was made it her business to let them know that, referees is going to be getting assessed for this next season and make sure they're making the right, proper calls. Man, at this point, we need NBA refs all the time, bro. I don't want these YMCA, junior league, high school ass referees, bro. We need real life refs, because as of right now, they're costing the Indiana Fever major games that they definitely need to win.
Let's be honest, Caitlin looks tired. And not the kind of tired that comes from dropping 30 points in 40 minutes. No, this is that deep soul-crushing exhaustion that hits when you realize you could drop 60 and still get called for a charge just for blinking too hard. She's carrying a franchise, a league, and half the women's basketball fanbase on her shoulders, and the refs? They're out here making sure her shoelaces are tied together every time she touches the ball.
Remember how last year started? You remember the lopsided officiating that we got last year? The All-Star break comes around, the Olympic break rolls around, and then what did we hear from Lynn Dunn? Lynn Dunn goes on the Dan Dockage show, and she calls out the officiating. She calls out the refereeing. She calls out the WNBA. The lopsidedness that is being shown not in favor of the Indiana Fever. The clear biases when it comes to foul calls. The clear biases when it comes to not calling foul calls. Last year, it took us halfway.
Of course she's depressed. Who wouldn't be? Imagine being world-class at your job, pulling off miracles night after night, only to realize your toughest opponent doesn't even wear a jersey. It's the refs, the ones in stripes, who somehow miss full-on assaults, but blow the whistle if she so much as breathes wrong. It's like there's some hidden anti-glow-up rule she's breaking just by existing. The treatment she's getting isn't just unfair, it's comically unfair. It's like Caitlyn stumbled into a world where logic checked out completely. And Coach Stephanie White? She didn't just lose her cool, she handed it over like a donation. She looked like she was trying out for a sketch show where every scene involved reacting to another absurd call. Pacing, yelling, turning red like a walking thermometer of injustice. She wasn't coaching anymore, she was giving a live TED talk on being gaslit. And the refs? They weren't even pretending. They were just out there riffing, making up calls like it was open mic night at the jazz club for bad officiating.
A little bit holistically, I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs...
There's really no other way to put it. Caitlin Clark is being treated like she committed a crime against basketball just for making people care about it again. The WNBA wanted attention? Well, congratulations, you've got it. But now the referees are out here squinting like vampires caught in the sun, completely thrown off by the spotlight. They weren't ready for fans or slow-motion replays or a world where people actually ask questions. Now every awful call turns into a meme in seconds, and Twitter's breaking down every flop, denial, and whistle that defies physics. And somehow it keeps getting worse. Caitlyn goes for a fast break. Bam, whistle. Makes a clean steal, oops, violation. Breathes too hard in the paint, technical foul. Meanwhile, the other team is out here doing full contact MMA and getting nothing but fist bumps. It's like the refs think they're in some weird choose-your-own-adventure book where no matter what page you flip to, Caitlyn ends up in trouble. This isn't just bad officiating, it's mental warfare. She's a rookie out there moving like a veteran with a target on her back the size of Iowa.
Sharing that the officiating in the WNBA became as hot button of an issue as any. Heated debates surrounding the league's physicality dominated the headlines, particularly when Indiana Fever star rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls. Now, they also brought up Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. We actually made a whole video about that as well because there were some suspect calls at the end of that game, and a lot of people felt like the WNBA Finals were...
Every time she fights to get back up, someone's right there knocking her down. And yes, sometimes literally. Meanwhile, Coach White's sideline reactions are starting to outshine the games themselves. She's basically turned into the unofficial voice of reason, if reason came with red-faced fury and a clipboard flying through the air. You can almost hear her inner voice screaming, "Are you kidding me?" on a loop. She's protesting so passionately it's shocking they haven't given her a mic and her own post-game therapy special. And really, can you blame her? Watching your star player get hacked like a leaked password and still not hear a whistle would make anyone lose it. But instead of praising her, we're stuck frame by framing every cheap shot Caitlyn takes while the refs stand there like lawn ornaments. It's surreal, like we've slipped into some parody universe where skill gets penalized and mediocrity gets a round of applause.
It took us 4 games for Stephanie White to say, "I've had enough." It's taken 4 games for Stephanie White to say, "You know what? I've had absolute enough. Game 1, okay. Game 2, okay. Game 3, all right." But today was the last straw when it came for Stephanie White. The New York Liberty get to the free throw line 32 times. The Indiana Fever this season have a discrepancy -31 when it comes to free throws. That doesn't seem right.
Because that's exactly how it feels. Fans are catching on, the crowds are louder, the boos are lasting longer, and online? It's a wildfire of receipts and slow MO breakdowns. No one's buying the "just part of the game" excuse anymore. If anything, this game looks like it's being run by a group of over-caffeinated interns who treat consistency like a suggestion. And if that sounds harsh, good. It should. This isn't just about Caitlyn. It's about what happens when real star power walks into a system that's not built to handle it. The referees are holding on to their authority like it's the last slice of pizza, making bold bad calls with the confidence of people who've never had their decisions replayed in HD by millions. Caitlyn plays too well? Their solution: make it harder. And if this keeps going, the final chapter won't end in cheers, it'll end with fans walking out wondering why they ever bought into the script. And just when you think the officiating can't get any more outrageous, boom. The refs crank the chaos to 11. These weren't just bad calls. They were Olympic-level disasters. Like rulebook scribbled in crayon kind of bad.
Happened. Why was JC Sheldon's foul upgrade to flagrant one? In the judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Clark's face. Furthermore, there was a wind-up and impact, and the contact to face carries potential for injury. How did you come to the conclusion that that is a flagrant one? How did you come up to the conclusion that it was unnecessary? There was a wind-up, and it was to the face. The three of them that is a flagrant 2. By definition, you've described a flagrant.
At one point, it honestly felt like the refs were pulling fouls out of a hat labeled random nonsense, while straight up ignoring everything happening to Caitlin Clark and her teammates. Blatant contact? Nothing. Clotheslining? Just good hustle. A full-on WWE suplex in the paint? Apparently that's textbook defense now. Look, it's not a conspiracy yet. But if a few more games look like this, we might need to start checking for hidden earpieces. Because how else do you explain this level of willful blindness from people whose only job is to watch what's happening? It's like the refs made a secret pact to never acknowledge Caitlin Clark getting fouled no matter how many times she's steamrolled like a pancake on national TV. At this point, even crash test dummies are getting more empathy. You start to wonder if there's some backroom meeting happening at WNBA headquarters. Dim lighting, smoke in the air, suits huddled over a PowerPoint titled, "How to Slow Down Caitlin Clark Without Being Too Obvious." And the refs? Just loyal foot soldiers carrying out the plan. It's starting to feel less like officiating and more like sabotage disguised in stripes. Every time Caitlin finds her rhythm, here come the refs with that, "Whoops, that looked too good. Better ruin it," energy.
Are the worst. They really are the worst.
We got to unpaint these narratives. They all have heart. All the mannerisms in basketball are the same. This is going to be the same. Doesn't matter your color, your race, or your religion. That means I shot in your face. This means I'm clapping, I'm excited. How do you make basketball mannerisms about race? Make it make sense. Sometimes we might even push the ref. I'm in the heat of the moment. I'm not a bad person.
Wait, hold up, wait. You be pushing refs, Angel?
I ain't never pushed them, but I've gotten in their face. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, you know.
Even when you watch the MNBA, I would pray for, and Scott Foster sucks, but I would pray for a Scott Foster in the WNBA. Some of these women's refs, I don't know if you feel this way, Angel, but they...
Meanwhile, players on other teams are out here breakdancing on defense and somehow getting rewarded with free throws. It's a full-blown clown show, and the only people not in on the joke are the ones actually trying to play real basketball. And while this chaos unfolds, who's missing in action? That's right, the commissioner. The mysterious silent figure supposedly running the league. At this point, you'd get a clearer answer from a magic 8-ball than from her office. Players get hacked, fans explode, commentators lose it, and from her? Radio silence. You could shout into a canyon and get more feedback than you'd get from her press team. Try digging up a public statement from her, seriously. You've got a better chance of spotting Bigfoot refereeing a playoff game. The only thing consistent about her leadership is that it's consistently missing. Days go by, headlines explode, and questionable calls keep stacking up while she's apparently off-grid, sending out beige-toned emails from a leadership coma. It's like she's running the WNBA from a treehouse with no Wi-Fi. Penalties take forever, fines come after a week-long nap, and some mystical vision quest. Her response to crisis? Slower than a tortoise confused by a house fire, and somehow headed in the wrong direction.
I'll say it again, the WNBA as an organization is insufferable, and you would be hard-pressed to find another organization that is as committed to self-imploding as the WNBA.
There is no place in basketball for somebody to be poked in the eye, and then they're saying Caitlin Clark is flopping. In what world is she flopping? Oh, she flailed and she fell over. For crying out loud, that girl, JC Sheldon, should have been kicked out of the game. She should have received a flagrant 2. There's no reason why you need to poke somebody. Listen, I get it. She's playing her hard. She's guarding her. It's basketball. Aside from the viewership and the recordship and the media, it's just a basketball game. I totally get that. There's no place in basketball for
At this point, you almost expect her to show up to a press conference and ask which team Caitlin plays for. That's how out of touch she seems with everything unraveling in her own league. And let's talk about her so-called leadership, if you can even call it that. She's got the energy of a parking meter and the urgency of a screensaver. No presence, no voice, no accountability. Coaches are losing their minds over blatantly rigged calls. Fans are begging for answers. Viral clips show Caitlin getting tackled while refs practically file their nails. And from the commissioner? Nothing. Just the sound of crickets. Literal crickets might be louder at this point. It's gotten so bad no one even expects her to lead anymore. They just hope she realizes the season's actually happening. Maybe she's waiting on a carrier pigeon to deliver game results. Maybe she's working on a 5-year plan that starts with Googling, "What is basketball?" Or maybe, just maybe, she's under strict orders to not rock the already shaky WNBA boat. But let's be real, she needs to be fired. Yesterday, her job is to grow the league, protect its players, and uphold the game's integrity. Instead, she's a background extra in a courtroom drama, barely there and always flipping to the wrong page. You've got Caitlin Clark, the biggest name to hit women's basketball in years, and your master plan is silence.
Control the game.
I said you lost control of the game, and here's what happened is those refs around allowed that type of play to happen. That just opens up the rest of the game to say, do you see what I got away with? I'm going to be able to get away with other things too. And that's exactly what I said. That's a dangerous game. That is a unsafe game for players to be a part of, because it allows for the other team to make some really nasty.
That's the leadership equivalent of putting Beyoncé on hold. Meanwhile, fans are losing their minds. The frustration is boiling over. Every game now feels like another episode in the ongoing referee rebellion, and the commissioner's seat remains colder than a Minnesota winter. Coaches are stuck doing PR cleanup, players are powering through clear bias, and fans are left yelling at their screens while the one person who should be stepping up is probably off somewhere drafting a memo on how to disappear at press conferences. She's the walking shrug emoji, and let's not pretend this silence is harmless. It enables everything. By refusing to hold referees accountable, by ignoring the clear bias, the league is sending a loud message. Caitlin Clark and her team are fair game. Get hacked? Too bad. Take an elbow? Shake it off. Get disrespected? Smile for the cameras and keep pushing merch. Because the league doesn't seem interested in protecting her. They want to use her. Her fame, her fan base, her flair, they're all welcome. But standing up for her? Speaking out? That part's been left on read.
Increased attention this year. There's also been increased scrutiny about the quality of refereeing. Curious if there has been any conversation about whether it's referee pay, referee training, anything to ensure that is as good as it can be.
Obviously, not every, they're humans, looking at technology. Basketball is a little more complex than tennis, for instance, around technology of officiating. So we're looking at a variety of different dimensions. I know it's a passionate issue. Every fan group, I love when I go into market and every fan group I meet with, they usually wait and ask it as the last question of the night, but they do ask about officiating, which I...
Apparently, that's asking too much. And the longer this mess drags on, the deeper the damage goes, not just to Caitlin or her team, but to the league's entire credibility. People are paying attention. Fans are comparing receipts. Clips are getting dissected frame by frame. This isn't 1998. Everything's online and nothing disappears. And what's out there? It's damning. If the league really thinks it can gaslight an entire generation of basketball viewers, they're in for a rude awakening. Because fans know exactly what they're watching. They're not clueless. What the league needs is someone with a pulse, a Twitter login, and a calendar that doesn't mysteriously skip entire weeks. If the WNBA wants to survive this tidal wave of attention Caitlin Clark has brought, it can't be led by someone who handles every crisis like it's just a pocket dial. The players deserve more. The fans demand more. And Caitlin Clark?